Oh, hi, I'm Cam Clark from my channel, The Awesome Life Force. Today is August 17th, 2017. It's 3:38 p.m. And today we're going to talk about how the Big Bang Theory should be silenced. So, as just a quick outline of what I'm going to talk about today, the Big Bang Theory says that light from distant stars that hits us, it all has shifted down in frequency to the red spectrum. So scientists interpret that as that all the stars, let's see, all the stars, there was a, let's erase this. Scientists say that there was at one time there was a big explosion, all matter was kind of in a dot, let's say. It all exploded outward. So everything we're seeing, let's say we're here, is moving outward. So light, they're saying, is all shifted down into the red frequencies. And so you think that all the stars are moving away from us because there was a Big Bang. Okay, so that's the Big Bang Theory. Now, let's quickly silence it for being an invalid theory. So basically, I'm just going to quickly show you what's happening. So when light, let's say I have a star, it's shooting off light. Say this is a beam of light. The beam of light, as it comes through matter, let's say this is outer space. Outer space is not totally empty. There's dust and there's what we're going to call soft particles everywhere. So as light hits stuff in space, let's say it's either matter or soft particles, which we'll explain in a minute, it naturally drops down in frequency. So this redshift, it's not the stars are moving away, it's just that as light travels through space, it hits stuff and then it drops down in frequency. So I'm going to quickly explain the mechanisms for that, so we can kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But that's the simple explanation. Light is hitting stuff in space and dropping down in frequency. So the stars aren't moving far away. Just everything it's not coming here pristine from outer space, right? Okay, so what is light? We talked about this in my previous video. Throughout all of space, there's an ether. An ether is like a perfect gas, a bunch of little particles moving randomly, very fast. That's why we have something called Planck's constant, which represents the energy of an ether particle. So when these ether particles get compressed together, they form photons of light. And when photons of light, when photons of light combined, they form much bigger particles, kind of like, let's call them bowling balls, more or less. These are called soft particles. And these soft particles, so you have like photons, and you could have a beam of light with looking like this, a bunch of photons, plus you have these soft particles. Throughout space, this is what we can see with our eyes, but throughout space, there's all kinds of stuff like this. There's these soft particles floating everywhere. So anyway, so let's quickly talk about one more thing here. So that's a soft particle, that's a photon. And one more quick thing. So this is what let's say a beam of photons looks like this. We'll just keep it real simple. This is the beam of photons traveling like this way. The wavelength is the distance here between two photons. And the frequency is the number, let's call this a point here, the number of photons traveling by a given point in a given amount of time. That's the frequency. Basically, frequency, how often is it arriving? That's what the word frequency means. So the light from distant stars is all dropped down in frequency, which means there's less photons going past a certain point in a given time. That's what it means to drop down in frequency. Okay, so I've quickly showed you what a soft particle is. Now a hard particle is an electron. So let's say it's a ball or a photon. These are all this goes electron, photon. These are all uniform. So throughout all of space, An electron, every electron is the exact same, every proton is the exact same. I explained kind of how they work a little bit in my previous video on gravity, but basically, as an electron starts moving throughout space, it generates a magnetic field. Magnetic field is just the flow of the ether particles around it, which once again proves that there is an ether. Like, it's a flow of ether particles forming the magnetic field. So those we're going to call electrons and protons hard particles because they don't change. They're uniform in space. And we already talked about soft particles. And now, so throughout all of space, it's not just perfectly, space is not just totally empty. You got dust, you got pieces of matter, then you have all these soft particles, so which is just a conglomeration of photons. So big particle, like a big bowling ball. So anyway, throughout space, you got dust, you got soft particles. So I'm just going to quickly explain. When you have a beam of light, if you have a beam of light, when it runs into some matter or something, let's say it runs into some matter here, it gets compressed, kind of like let's say kind of like a spring. When it hits into something, it's like a spring gets compressed, and when it comes out the other end, it gets pushed off again as photons. But you always lose a little bit of energy when it runs into stuff. So the spring gets compressed and it pushes out, but with a little bit less energy. And this is where the frequency drops down, because you'll have a little bit, the speed, so to speak, the spring compresses and pushes out, so you'll have a little bit less of the frequency. So this is the redshift. When photons of light hit something, and then they get compressed and then pushed out again like the spring, there'll be less, the speed, the number of particles going by a given point will be less, will be slower. And that's the redshift right there. So hopefully that can quickly explain, not too long, but why the Big Bang Theory should be silenced. I mean, it's pretty common sense, though, to think that why would every star magically just all be shifting to the red? It's like, I mean, sure, you could think of the Big Bang, but I mean, that's not the only explanation. And given that they don't really kind of understand, current science doesn't understand light and how it really actually works, I think this is a much more simple, clear explanation of why the Big Bang Theory should be silenced. And that's it for now. Cam Clark out.